We're recording. And get back into present. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you so much for taking an hour of your afternoon. This will be great information. I'm going to over deliver. You guys are going to get some good stuff today. So, okay. So today's class is Objections Demystified, Maximizing Your Success. So welcome to the webinar. I see looks like maybe some of you are in the car, but those of you that are stationary, I recommend grabbing a pen, paper, your favorite beverage, turn your cameras on if you can. And let's get started. So for those of you that don't know me, I think most of you on here do, but for those of you who don't, I had two major life-changing events in my adult life, which helped me tremendously on my journey. Won't get into that, won't have time, but it was there. I got my real estate license in my mid-20s, and I quit my job cold turkey to start my real estate business with just a few months of savings. I'm pretty much a risk taker in every area of my life, and it definitely showed there. I'm heavily into personal development, especially since 2009. I have always had multiple one-on-one coaches and mentors since 2016. I say that because as a mentor and coach, it's important to say that the coach gets coached. Those mentors or coaches out there that don't get coached, you may want to steer clear. Journey Home, which is my brand, was born in 2018. Well, actually more like 2017. And I started with teaching real estate agents how to bust the hustle. I'm kind of like the OG spiritual realtor, bringing spirituality into real estate when nobody else was talking about this in 2016, 2017, 2018. Now it's starting to become a little more mainstream. But I started incorporating it back then, and it's done well in my business. I love pit bulls, hiking, and I love to travel alone, especially out of the country. It's super fun. I'm a realtor, mentor, coach. Some of you may not know, I'm certified in Feng Shui. I am a certified sound healing practitioner, also Reiki, but not officially, so I didn't put it in writing, but yes, that too. And the Light Leader Kundalini teacher and coach. Kundalini is a form of yoga. Okay, you're in the right place. If you're feeling stuck, if you feel unprepared for conversations, for appointments, etc., if you feel like you're getting the same objections repeatedly, if you don't have the financial freedom that you desire, or if you don't have the time freedom that you desire. So in today's training, we will learn what not to do. We're going to start off after that by going over some strategy. And then we're going to shift into the mindset. And I'm going to give you the secrets of what all objections come down to. Okay, only about 10 to 20% of the transaction is spent in the close. Yet the close is where 100% of your income comes from. Because if you don't close, then you're not going to have a client and get paid. So 10 to 20%, but it's where 100% of it happens. Mastering sales means mastering sales objections. You're going to see throughout this webinar, I put objections in quotes. You'll find out why shortly. If you're hearing some version of not interested, more often than not, you actually have a solution. So basically, get excited when you hear that. I know some of you are thinking like, yeah, right. But by the end of the webinar, you will hopefully have that same belief. Okay, so let's start with ourselves. Think about the objections that we have when we buy something. What causes our own objections? What was our main concern? Is it paying too much? Is it maybe not the right solution? Maybe did we not spend enough time researching? Did we not ask for enough referrals? Are we maybe making a mistake? Or do we simply just need time to think it over or talk to someone else first, our partner, our spouse, etc.? Everybody goes through this. This is part of the process, of decision making. Most people are going to quote object during a sales process. It's in our human nature to be cautious. So this is not something that we want to fear. A little secret, it is normal and natural to get objections when selling. And again, I'm putting it in quotes. So this is a part of our business, guys. And okay, a few objections is completely normal. So it's a part of our business, it's normal. But if we're having a lot of them and we're having a lot of the same ones, then it just means that our presentation and our language, our delivery just probably needs a little bit of work, and that's okay. We're always going to get a few quote objections because we know that no one likes to be sold, but everybody likes to buy. And you're going to want to pay attention to not only if you are experiencing a bunch of objections, but if you're experiencing the same ones, because, well, we'll get into this in a little bit, but just take personal note of that. So unfortunately, in our industry, in real estate, the ability to hear an objection, respond appropriately, and move on and ask for the sale is actually not common. This is why, guys, that a very small percentage of realtors are actually successful. So when we talk about those stats, like the majority of realtors only close 5 or 6 deals a year, if that. I think actually it's more like 3 to 5. This is part of it. This is a piece of that. So why? Because most agents haven't actually taken the time to get their mind right and to prepare. So we're going to start, I'm going to give you a few not to do's because I know we have a range of experience levels live on this call and whoever's going to be watching the replay. So for those who are watching that are newer agents, I want to start with some basics, which is what not to do. So we don't want to give any objection too much power. Oh, I see a little typo there. We don't want to talk while the prospect or the client is, quote, objecting. Listen. Listening is so important. We don't want to take anything personally, take no objection personally. They're not rejecting you. They simply have questions, concerns, etc. Don't handle more than one objection at a time. Meaning, let's say, for example, a prospect is throwing out something regarding time and money. Address each issue and dive into that one thing at a time before you move on. Don't try to explain or help them with all of their objections, questions, concerns all in one time. Break it down, chunk it down. We don't want to make solutions or offers, meaning anything with like a monetary value over the phone. And we don't want to abandon negotiations because of an objection. So if someone throws out a quote objection, it doesn't end there. They just need more guidance, more information. And I think this one especially is a really common one for newer agents, like in their first year or so, because this is the difference between getting that appointment or not getting that appointment, getting that listing agreement signed or not getting it signed. A lot of times comes down to that point right there. And we're going to help you with this. Okay, don't disagree with the prospect or client. This is huge. It goes into the listening, but we're working with them. We're not working against them. And even though we are the professional, we are the expert, and we almost always know more than them, we still do not want to come across that we're disagreeing with them. We don't want to confuse the person with the objection. So this means that it doesn't mean that they're not going to become a client, right? So we don't cross them off our list or don't continue to follow up because they're throwing out an objection. Don't believe the objection. So this kind of goes into the last one. Don't believe the objection will keep the prospect from working with you. Again, they're not objecting you, and we shouldn't object them. It's something we need to work through. Don't let the objection get you down. We're going to get into mindset, but this is a huge part of that. When we're making a bunch of calls or we're going on a bunch of appointments, it can easily happen where we start to get down by the nose. And just keep your head up, keep going. It's not about the nose, because if we are making a lot of calls, we're going on a lot of appointments, we're talking to people about real estate on a regular basis, we only need a few yeses. So we don't worry about the no's. And sometimes the no just means not right now. A lot of times it doesn't even mean no. Don't ignore the objection. So if it's like an elephant in the room type of a situation, address it and address it as fast as possible. And don't quit communicating. So again, it kind of goes back to, it doesn't mean we stop following up because they have thrown out a few quote objections. So when we're having a presentation, we do not want to focus on market stats and numbers, and do not use corporate lingo. Do not use industry lingo. Rather, make sure that we're communicating human to human and engage emotionally, because buyers or anyone, we make decisions based on our emotions. We buy on emotions. So we want to connect with them on that level. Okay, don't ignore situations that will make either of you or the client uncomfortable. So we kind of mentioned that a little bit, but I put it in there again because it's really key. So just dive right into any point that you notice a hesitation or that you've intuitively realized could be an issue. Just get right to that. When you're trying to build trust, it is always better to address something proactively than reactively, because those objections that were there from the beginning, if they're not addressed, they will always come up at the end, and it's much more challenging to address them at the end. When we get to the quote close, we want to be sure that we've addressed all of their questions and objections before we get to that point. So this is an important concept to understand, that handling an objection is a process. It is not just providing an answer to a problem. So I'm going to go through a lot of what I'm going through, look towards the end of the presentation is going to be information that I'm pretty sure you guys have never heard anywhere regarding objections. Some of this stuff at the beginning, some of you may have heard before, but it goes beyond scripting. It's not just scripting, it's a process, and it also involves our mindset. So it's basically energy and strategy. So this quote, actually, I probably should have said it, but I'm giving credit to Grant Cardone. You never blow a deal based on something you said or did. It's what you didn't do or say that, quote, blew the deal. So we can never mess up as long as we've actually taken the action. So this is really great for those of you that are maybe starting out. I hear this a lot, and we go through this a lot in my coaching program, that there's hesitation because it's like, okay, well, what if I mess up, or, you know, that fear of failure that comes into play. But just know this is so true. You will never blow a deal because of what you said. And I mean, that aside from something that's, you know, disrespectful, right? I mean, that's the obvious. Putting that aside, you won't do that. It's what you didn't do. Okay, so we're gonna go into a couple of strategy steps first. I want to start by giving you guys more like tactical information on the process. So the first step is going to be acknowledging and encourage. So our clients, well, we need to expect resistance. And we want to give our clients phrases like, oh, I understand, or of course, or tell me more about that. Things like that, that immediately puts them at ease rather than making them feel that we are against them. We are their partner in this. Second thing is going to be confirming and accepting. So sometimes when we're hearing objections, the emotions start coming up for us. And we want to make sure that we have a logical mind, because when we get into sales mode, that's when our emotions can sometimes come into play, and we have to keep them in check. And just know that whatever the prospect or the client is saying, that we want to confirm, make sure that we've heard it correctly, and validate it. Well, first accept it and validate their truth, because this is what's building trust. And trust is almost everything in a business relationship. So we want to put ourselves on the same side of the table. Again, we're not on opposite sides of the table. Then we have to shut up because sometimes we can over talk. And this sometimes happens maybe if we're a little unsure, we're a little anxious, but we need to say what, give them the guidance, and then, and quote, handle that objection, but then we need to pause. And we need to let them respond after that before we jump into the next thing. Don't oversell yourself. Okay, number 4, we need to circle back to the pain point, because sometimes when a client or a prospect they're just like knee deep in their issue. A lot of times they have now gone 180 from where they wanted to go and why they are trying to buy or sell in the first place. So sometimes we have to take them back and pull them back from the ledge and go back to the reason why they're meeting with you in the first place, back to the reason why they wanted to buy or why they wanted to sell in the first place. So for those of you who work with me, I talk a lot about motivation, and this is when that would come into play, because sometimes we just have to regroup, especially if you can tell that they're getting maybe in their emotions when they're talking about their problems, their objections. And then we're going to be ready to close. So I'm sure you guys have all heard this before. If we don't ask for it, we're not going to get it, or we're going to go in circles. And sometimes the close is so simple. It really just depends on the situation and the personality of that prospect. The key here is to making it feel more like an invitation and not like a close. Okay, so all quote objections are going to come down to 3 things: time, money, confidence, and knowledge. If you look at scripts, I'm sure you all have multiple scripts, multiple resources. You could put all of them into those 3 categories, one of those 3 categories. And we can also break this down into about a 70-30 split, where a lot of them are actually rooted in trust and only a few are based in a legitimate concern, meaning they just don't know if they trust you yet a lot of the time. So they're going to throw out quote objections to see how you respond, to see if they want to put their time, faith, energy, money, etc. into working with you. However, all of these things is actually the ego. The ego exists to keep us safe, to stop us from taking risks and protect us from anything and everything. So this is both sides, us and them. Our spirit on the other side pushes us further and encourages us to get out of our comfort zone. Now, I'm not going to get into that piece so much, but I wanted to throw it out there because at the end of the day, we want to be connecting to the person in a way that it's connecting to their vision and where they want to go. We do want to address their pain points, but we don't want to get stuck there. We need to move them further into, okay, well, what's your vision? What's next for you? And most of these issues, these quote objections, the root of all of it, actually, you can put it into one thing. So I had mentioned that it could be 3 things: time, money, or a lack of confidence or knowledge in the situation, but it really comes down to their belief. And so we're going to shift right now from the strategy part to the mindset part, because it's equally, if not more important than the strategy. So our values, we all as humans, but we're talking about prospects and clients here, have an eternal drive, and then we take action or we don't take that action based on that internal drive. Our value systems are an internal navigation that controls what we do and what we do not do. So as a realtor, as a powerful salesperson, we must work on our mind daily. So a powerful salesperson is a powerful person. How do we feel powerful and exude that? It's working on it. And also, a powerful salesperson is a powerful communicator. So these are a few things that I believe make up a powerful salesperson, a powerful entrepreneur. Perspective. So what is important and what is not important, and discerning that and having that perspective. So going back to what I touched on a little earlier, if our goal is to get 1 qualified appointment per week, don't let the negativity distract you, because all we need is 1. So we're focusing on our perspective is on that, and our leadership. So we're either selling by default, we're getting clients by default, we're taking actions by default, or we're doing it by design. So we are leading our client, or the client is leading us. And so part of that in our conversations, presentations, etc., is to not allow them to overthink. We need to remain in that leadership role. We're like coaching them, coaching the prospects, coaching the clients, and guiding them. And of course, our language. It is right, the right words are important. And it's so easy to say, scripts don't work. Doesn't work. Nope, I've tried them, doesn't work. But if you don't know what to say, that is going to stop you from approaching prospects. It's going to stop you from having more of those random quote conversations. It's going to stop you from actually having those listing appointments, or it's going to stop you from a conversation that maybe was a little out of your comfort zone. Maybe it was talking about an aspect of business that you didn't fully understand. But if we understand some correct key words, then it's not going to stop us from that communication and those experiences, which ultimately, of course, get us the clients. And remember, guys, too, like sometimes, side note, we get so in our head about it that we forget that it's not about us. I mean, it is, yeah, of course, we want to get the money. We want to take our kids on vacation. We want to have a nice house, have a nice car, all these things. But all of this process it's really about them, right? So we sometimes have to put our own self aside and really just really intuitively make sure that we're thinking of things from their perspective. And if we're afraid to have conversations, then how many people is that each day, a week, month that we could have helped that we didn't help, right? Because we were in our own head. So what I want to teach you guys today is really, objections is a crappy word. It's a negative word, and we want to stop seeing it as an objection, period. So there's something called the NEO method. I don't even know who to give credit to, but it's a method, and it's neutralize, empathize, and obliterate. So wipe it out. And that's what I've been going over so far. And that's basically what we need to do, because we just need to stop looking at it as an objection. So getting further into the mindset, there is a difference between objections and circumstances, and we need to be empathetic of these things. For an example, if someone says over the phone, I need to check with my spouse, as far as like meeting with you or something like that. That's just one example. We don't want to make that an objection. That's not an objection. That's a circumstance. That's having a healthy relationship. For them to check with their spouse before setting up an appointment with a realtor who's going to help them buy or sell their house. So we have to remember that there are some things that are literally just circumstantial, and we want to be clear that we're respecting that and we're responding appropriately. Another thing is, these are the 3 keys of what you guys want to lead with. Integrity, truth, and abundance, right? Not scarcity mindset, abundant mindset. When you're having real estate conversations, if you're leading with these 3 things, you are always going to win. And if someone doesn't work with you, then they were not meant to be your client. Bottom line. Because we're not here to serve everyone, right? We want to work with the right people. Okay, so energy is felt and people will trust you. So this is how we start to transition from feeling like we're getting objections to actually feeling like we're never getting objections. And I'm not saying that like never, ever, ever. Like, for example, if part of your business plan is to call FSBOs canceled expireds, you're still going to get the quote objections, right? They're not going to be completely eliminated, but you will get to a point in your business where they're drastically reduced. And depending on who you're marketing to, you may never get an objection. And this is because they will trust you and they will start sharing their doubts, their fears, their insecurities. You will coach them through it and address all these things before you ever get to the close. And then you will know if you're going to work with them or not, and you're leading that entire conversation. Therefore, in that type of a situation, there's never actually a quote objection. So this can happen with referrals, with friends, with family, with people that you meet organically through social media or through, in person, when you're going out and about and doing your thing, through networking events. This happens when you have some kind of connection with them at the beginning. And it could be small because it could be a referral, right? This is entirely possible to actually never have objections. It doesn't mean that every single deal is going to close. No, because there's other circumstances, but it just means that you will not face these objections that we're talking about. We want to ask questions and get curious. This is so key. This is so key. We talk about this a lot in the coaching program. This is a really good thing to try out, a method to try out. It goes back to when we're trying to get them out of their pain point and lead them into their vision that they've told us what's next for them, is we ask them, okay, well, what's the best case scenario? And then what's the worst case scenario? And ask them to talk about it. Like, what does that actually look like? A lot of times that can help someone who's really stuck in a decision-making process to see, what's probably for their highest and best good in the situation. But it's us coaching them. It's not us telling them. We have to ask them to share that with us. So this goes into the last one, guiding them to see what's possible. So this could also sound like, hey, we're in this together. We're going to figure this out and we're going to figure this out for you, right? Then that shows them that you're on their team, you're on their side. You're the guide in whatever it is the best for them. It's them to decide what is the best decision for them, and you're there to guide them through it. Okay, here's a pro tip. Take your emotions out of it. I put Sherlock Holmes there to remind us to ask questions and get curious. And if we stay in that state of asking questions and getting curious, it's easier to take out the emotions. Whoops. And then another pro tip. Do you guys know, anyone come off of mute and share or put in the chat what this is from? There is no spoon. Anybody know?
The Matrix.
Yep. So we want to detach from the outcome. So like in the Matrix, when they're bending the spoon, yeah, I mean, that's like a perfect example right there. Okay. So I know I threw a ton of information at you guys. So I just want to help to sum it up in a couple of key points. And that's be yourself. And if you can make people laugh, make them laugh. I mean, even if you're not a funny person, I'm not a funny person, but I can find things to say to connect and just, make people crack a smile, giggle. Like that's what we want. We want it to be about the connection and being yourself and them relating to you, because that's what's going to ultimately be the best. Have a purposeful sales skills practice. So whether that's being in a mentorship program, whether that's practicing your scripts, whether that's whatever that is for you, it's important to practice our skills and our strategy, because we don't want to wing anything. It's just not good. It's just not good to wing it. And then of course, work on your energy and your mindset, because both energy and strategy is equally important. And put time and money into your personal and business development, however you choose to do that. Always be learning, always be growing. Seek out mentors or people that you resonate with, that align with your core values and can help you get to where you're going, because you don't need to pave your own path. You can follow a path that was already created. And it's really, and those, it could just be podcasts or YouTube. It doesn't have to always be, spending a bunch of money for a one-on-one mentor or something like that. Those of you that are interested in Bliss or already in Bliss, that we have a great program. So that's an example, but it could be anything. And I highly recommend working on yourself, because your investment no one can take away the investment that you put into yourself. Not inflation, not anything. I mean, your mind, your energy, your knowledge, no one can take that away. And that's just the best investment. Okay. And then hustle and grind does not mean success. So this is kind of going back to what I was saying at the beginning. When I first introduced this concept to people in 2017, 2018, they looked at me like I had 3 heads. But it's true. I think now a lot of people are seeing that more. And leverage has a lot more to do with success than hustling and grinding. And hopefully you guys have got some ideas today of how we can leverage things a little bit more. So that way it doesn't feel like so much grind. Okay, we have another webinar in a couple of weeks on May 10th at 2 p.m. We're going to be talking about unlocking your inner CEO. So this is another topic I really like to cover, treating your business like a business. And let's see, I think there's at least one person on here that I don't know. So if not more, if I see everything right. So if you have any further questions, you can reach out to me through email. And yeah, thank you guys so much for taking the time. I want to just open it up to questions. So let me come on here and yeah. Anyone have, let me see what's in the chat, but definitely feel free to just unmute yourself if there's anything that you want to ask.
Everyone's quiet.
I know. So Alyssa, I don't know you. Hello, welcome.
Oh, it's Lisa.
Oh, that's Lisa. Just kidding.
I know.
I
That's her
forget.
real name. I know.
Yeah, I'm on my phone today.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, if they're Zoom user, who's Zoom
Well,
user? Oh, is that Belia? Oh no, Belia's there.
I
don't
think
know.
it's good that agents practice. For a while, I had to practice scripts and I don't know what you want to just people saying no, and I'm horrible at remembering what to say, and I'm horrible on the spot. I don't know if it's a dyslexia thing. I don't remember things like that. And when I'm nervous, it's even worse. So the whole point of it's not scripts or remembering those things so that you can sound like a robot. It's just so that when people automatically say things, or you can tell it's going down that path, or you can feel the energy, you know how to respond. And that's all. I feel like we get so caught up in this, but agents just say, you know, like maybe you're working on internet leads and you're just really fired up and you're excited. And then the first couple calls, maybe they don't answer, or then a couple of them, they're just, no, I don't want to talk to you. No. Well, and the agent's okay. And they just take it instead of like, well, clearly you were clicking on something or looking at something and you showed up in the CRM. Like there's a reason why. And why are you just saying no? Like, you know, you're looking at something. Is there anything I can help you with, or any information I can get over to you? You know, just try and talk to them. And instead of just saying, okay, you're just saying no. All right. No, you know, I don't know. It just kind of helps, or just, you know, and if you're not in the mood to really talk with them, then maybe not even make those calls today. You know, I think that's safe to say too. Like they're not always in the mood. So then maybe just don't do it, or don't go door knocking, right? I don't know. Maybe don't agree with me, Stace, but
I totally agree. Or, you know, I talked to my team is when we're doing activities that maybe we're not as excited about or feel like we need to put in a lot of effort into, do those when you have the most energy.
Yeah.
So if it's in the beginning of the day, do them at the beginning of the day. For some people, it's in the afternoon, then do those activities in the afternoon. So some of it comes into like the time blocking piece, but yeah, I mean, if you're having an off day, then there's some things that you can choose not to do. Obviously, if you have an appointment booked, you don't want to just miss the appointment, but
right. Yeah.
and we don't want to go day by day by day and just say, oh, I'm feeling off. Okay, I'm feeling off again. I'm feeling off again. And then 3 weeks go by. But yeah, I mean, take that into consideration for sure. But yeah, I definitely wanted just to really break it down and just talk about how it goes so much more beyond the scripting.
Yeah.
That's just a small piece of it, because if we don't have the right mindset and we don't have the strategy and behind it, the scripting just means nothing.
Right. And I think you can practice on anyone. You know, if you're not feeling good, it's not going to go anywhere anyway. And sometimes I know agents are probably surprised because they're like, oh, well, look at you. Well, yeah, look at me. Like I'm talking with you right now, but I have sweaty palms. Like speaking in public or in front of people, I am terrified. So I get nervous. I get cotton mouth, and just knowing that I'm going to be talking to someone that I don't know makes me nervous. And I'm thinking in my head, what are they thinking of me? How are they perceiving me? And even making the videos, to me, that is still going out there and trying to, you have to know what you're going to say. it's the same thing of putting together your presentation. I don't know. I try to make pump up music. So if I'm going to meet a client, like I had a meeting this morning, so I'm listening to podcasts to pump me up, or I'll listen to Pitbull. I'll listen to some techno music to just get me in the mood. Cause it's like what you said, you got to get in the mood. So do something that gets you all like, yeah, like get energized, you know? So, I can't listen to Reiki music because I'll fall asleep, but if you know, do what you guys got to do, find your jam, you know, if that's talking to your mentor for like 5 minutes before. I'm a new agent in Arizona. Oh,
hi, Rachel.
Oh.
Welcome.
yeah, welcome. She says she's at work. She can't speak up. Oh, well, thanks for joining. That's why we do these. Yeah. Yeah, if you send your email, then we can send you the link. But the whole point is that you find your jam, your rhythm, your thing, and you do you, right? So, you know, one of the teams that I had been on was, you know, you're recording your script calls, you're teaming up with each other, and you're just supporting each other. One of you is the agent and the other one is the client, and they're very, no, I don't want to meet with you. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want you coming over. And I'm like, dang, you know, give me a little bit of love, you know? So, or, you know, it's the normal, well, my aunt or my uncle's a realtor, or, you know, it's those lines. So it's okay. You practice those, and, you know, just like at the open houses, yeah, I've come in to look, this is where I'm at. Well, I have a realtor. I love that. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Where are they? Straight up ask, well, where's your realtor?
Exactly. What's their name? I'd love to
Yeah.
share the properties that you're interested in.
Yeah, great. I probably know them. Oh,
Mhm.
where they're so-and-so, they're on vacation. Oh, super. You know what? I'll team up with them. Did you know I can share commission with them? Are they part-time? Are they full-time? What's going on? Give me the scoop. Or you find out their agent is probably their brother who has sold one house a year, or their agent is out of state. Hey, super. Like, I worked with one client and he was terrified. He wanted to work with me, but he's like, my mom's an agent in Washington. And I said, super, I'll share a commission with her.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, really? Yeah, I brought it up. So,
Exactly.
you know, when you start to just, even if you're talking to the mirror or record yourself and then play it back, just the more you're saying it, and that way, when someone says it, it just comes out automatically. That's all. And you're authentic. So you're not like a robot, and you're not having to carry around a packet of scripts, because I'm not one that, let me tell you, there's no way I'd be able to remember scripts, and I'm not that fly on the ball of telling you what to say. So anyway, but that's great. Someone says they have a realtor at open house, but if they're not there with them, I'm like, hey, that's a free for all for me. So anyway.
Absolutely. And guys, when it gets to be easy like that, because there's only so many objections. There's only so many. So we didn't have time to put up every single one of the main ones, but you guys are out there, you're experiencing them, you know what they are. So if you have, you know, 1, 2, or 3 ways to, you know, respond to each one, and you're practicing them with your, you know, partner, friend, with us, yourself recording, and then you're practicing in real life, getting out there and doing it. And before you know it, it's going to become so natural. It's going to sound just like how Mara sounded when she was giving that example, that it does happen. It does happen. It takes a little bit of time. But that's what happens when you pair the strategy and actually practicing, you know, getting those scripts down and the mindset. You put it all together, and then before you know it, you're just gonna, I've had some of you guys say this to me where it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that I had that in me. I didn't even know that I knew that. It just came out of my mouth. I've had so many stories of some of you on the call, and some that are, you know, not here live right now, but that have said that to me. It's like, you surprise yourself of how good you sound, because it's a process, but then it feels like overnight when all of a sudden you're in the moment and you just say it and you nail it. And it's because of the practice and just being yourself.
Yep. I think that's the biggest thing, is just being yourself. That's where I have a hard time with scripts, because that's not me. Those aren't my words.
Right.
That's a lot of agents are like, well, what about the scripts? And I'm like, those are just there for you to look at and to give you an idea. But at the end of the day, it needs to be you actually talking. But if you never say the words, it's very hard for you to remember, to know what to say. So
Yep.
either practice or actually go out and just start doing. You know, you just have to just start doing real estate activities. And before you know it, you're going to start getting business and you're going to start getting things happening. And you're like, oh, okay. So no, thanks, Stace.
You're welcome. Well, before we wrap up, does anyone have a specific objection that they want to bring up and chat about? No? Okay. All right. Well, Rachel, again, welcome. If you want to put your email in the chat so we can grab that. And then if you're wanting the recording, we can send it to you, because I know the rest of you will have access through our system to the recording, but we can get that to you, Rachel. And we can kind of give it a minute to see if you want to put that in there. But for everybody else, thanks again for being on live, and have a great day.
Thank
Thanks,
you. Bye,
Stacy.
everyone.
Bye, guys.
Thank you.